Hello and welcome to BizQuik. I'm Julie.
And I'm Corey.
And on today's show, we have Kyle Strauss out of Atlanta, Georgia. He is the owner of Creating Money Awareness. Welcome, Kyle.
That's right. You're listening to BizQuik. This is where Julie and Corey provide quick and useful information to small business owners. BizQuik is the podcast where small business owners get to showcase their businesses and receive expert advice and guidance in areas many entrepreneurs struggle with. And you, the listener, get solutions, tips, and tricks on real-world topics that many small business owners face. Julie and Corey are the experts small businesses hire when they need solutions. And the BizQuik podcast is just one way they deliver those solutions. Let's start the show.
Thank you, Corey and Julie. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's great to be here with you.
Great to have you. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you. Trying to finish out the year strong. You know how easily that it can be to give into the holiday season, right? So trying to stay productive throughout these last couple weeks here.
Yeah, there's a reason they call it separation season, right? It's for people that want to get ahead. So your business is fairly new. When did you start it?
Yes. Yeah, just over the summer. I suppose I got involved with World Financial Group in the spring, and over the summers when I separated from my public accounting firm that I was working at full time. I was doing taxes as a CPA and really got introduced to this business. I loved the opportunity. I loved the value, the information that we're able to provide and help people out with. And so I started up my venture, Creating Money Awareness, and really starting to grow and build something exciting with it.
Can you tell us about Creating Money Awareness? Like what it is that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, essentially it's just a financial agency and we come from a place of financial education. I got introduced to the firm, to World Financial Group, the platform in the spring. And when I was taken through the process and had this discussion with person who had recruited me and took me on, I learned so many things about basic financial concepts and fundamental information that I didn't even really know. And that was after several years in public accounting and as a CPA, and it blew my mind a little bit. You know, I almost felt bad that I didn't have a better understanding of my money and aspects about retirement and planning and investing and all these, you know, these details that we overlook a little bit or take for granted. And so I just felt, you know, for a couple of reasons, but I felt like this is something I really wanted to do as far as being able to provide that good value and information to people. Because I don't know about, I never did. Did you guys ever receive a financial education, like an actual formal, basic, fundamental financial education ever growing up in school or anything?
Well, a little bit in college, but
Yeah, I did. Yeah, in college and in my master's, but it was very minor for sure.
that's just Corey likes to mention on every podcast that he has his master's.
That's the first time
Well, and it took a master's degree to get that small financial education, you know, like it's crazy because how significant is money to everybody? You know, we use it every day and it affects our lives in a massive way, but we don't really learn this basic information.
All right, back. Yeah, the financial education, honestly, they don't really teach you anything in school to be a successful entrepreneur. It's kind of a trial by fire for most people unless they have really good mentors. So I'm curious, when you started this new business, right, you started in the middle of COVID, what were, you know, some of the considerations that you made that and then you said, hey, I'm going to go do this? Like what kind of pushed you over the edge to do it?
Well, it was kind of a perfect storm for me, really. I was at a point, I had just quit playing baseball a couple of years ago, and that was like my major drive, my passion. That's what took me everywhere and then I was 30, and my knees, I was a catcher, so my knees were starting to get a little slower and hurting a little bit, and I just felt like it was time to move on from that. And so I was doing taxes. I was a CPA for the first part of my professional career, throughout baseball. And then once I stopped having baseball over here to keep me, super excited and happy in life, I focused more on my professional career, and taxes weren't that exciting for me.
They aren't exciting for anybody, Kyle. Bad news. They're not exciting for anyone.
Nobody at all. Yeah. Believe it or not, right? So I had come to this realization that I couldn't and didn't want to do this on a long-term basis, and I needed to find something else. And at that point in time, I was really starting to dig into my own personal development and growing myself. And along with that, comes a little bit of greater ambitions and a bigger vision for yourself and what you want to do, and the corporate lifestyle. I was working at a pretty big public accounting firm, and so I'm a very small fish in a big old pond. And I quit, and they probably replaced me very soon after, and it didn't bat an eye. So just wanting to get out of that situation, do a little bit something more exciting, and build something for myself, and get some more contribution, share some more value, and I was really guided to this company and this opportunity, and I just wanted to take the leap of faith and jump all into it.
What's been the hardest part for you?
Well, the world as an entrepreneur, I don't know if you guys are aware, but it's a lot harder than meets the eye.
We are, in fact, aware. We are, yes.
I mean, just the transition from a paycheck every week or every other to, creating your own income and building something up. And that's something that you really don't know what it's like until you actually get to that point. And that was definitely a challenge. So balancing that, and then expanding your creativity a little bit in the aspect of, what am I trying to do, and coming up with different ways to get there.
Yeah, when we started SB Pace, anybody who listens to the podcast regularly has already heard us say this, but we, started with this sort of notion of, if we build it, they will come. And that is not true, right? You've still got to go get them. You have to attract them to you. And it can be, it's a long road. It can be overwhelming and scary at times, and filled with doubt, right? So you have to really surround yourself with the right people, and you have to be willing to ask for help when you need it. And you have to be pretty clever and creative, and being nimble helps a lot, because you have to move quickly to be able to, when something's not working, figure out like, okay, we're going to try something different here. But how has client acquisition been for you? You had an easy time getting customers and getting revenue, or have you struggled a little bit with that on the upstart?
When you're dealing with people's money, they have to be very certain about it. And sometimes that is difficult. And even if it, in my eyes, is the right move or a good move, it's not necessarily that for them. And call it influence, but in the sales role, you have to create a belief in them that they're doing the right thing. And I always feel like that I'm doing the right thing, and I have their best interests in mind. But we don't always agree on that front there.
Who is your target client?
I'm really looking to, married couples, professionals aged 25 to 35 would be like my ideal target, somebody who's looking to create some retirement, create something, and has some expendable cash. Somebody who's starting to build a family and settling down a little bit after those first post-college years when we're just having some fun and enjoying ourselves, probably.
I just want you to know, fun doesn't stop after those post-college years if you're living life right. But have you done an ideal customer avatar? Have you built that out so like this is exactly who I'm marketing to?
I haven't done it probably in the detail that I should, because I have a general. It's probably maybe a little more broad than it should be, I guess. Like I say, it's kind of an age range and a professional individual or family, really.
Yeah.
So digging a little bit deeper into that is definitely something that I could do, as far as what are their concerns, what are their fears and wants, and building that out a little bit more. With a little bit more strength, I could benefit from that, I think.
Sure. And the people who you are working with right now, what are there any like kind of common themes, common problems that you're helping people solve?
One of our flagship product, I suppose, is a product that allows you to create some retirement planning that is safe from the market. So it's not subject to market losses and market volatility, and it's tax-free on the back end. The majority of people in general really are pretty heavily invested in the market, or just have a 401k kind of thing, and aren't very diversified. So this product of ours will allow you to offset your market risk and tax rate risk as well, because I would, it's just speculation, of course, but the tax rates in our country could very possibly increase moving forward. So you have to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah. So I know you've mentioned a couple of times early on that you're part of World Financial Group, right? Which is Ed Milet's group, right? And I am kind of curious about I only know it's Ed's group because I'm familiar with the World Financial Group, but I don't know a lot about it. So what sort of structure, when you kind of, I'm going to use the word buy into it, but I don't mean that in the literal sense, but when you start working as a part of World Financial Group and you're going out on your own and starting this business, and like you started the creating money awareness, what kind of support do you get from World Financial Group in terms of like, do you get leads from there, or do you get like marketing content? Do you get like training? What do they give you as part of that, being a part of that group?
Yeah, that's a great question. So they provide a lot of, the product providers have a lot of support as far as helping you understand, in what ways the products will help out your clients. So that's nice. There's a lot of times places will have direct support lines just for WFG agents, so we can get a hold of them pretty quickly. Within our team, we have training a couple times a week for product training, business training, just to help you really get your business off the ground and running. It's a great support group, and that was another thing that really sold me on the opportunity, was that I was myself just looking to further my personal development, and it kind of backbones the opportunity that it's a personal development program with a massive compensation package, and that's really the role of an entrepreneur. Is you're consistently growing and bettering yourself and making yourself more valuable, and that's something that I was really excited about. Your leads will generally just be on your personal creation. That's why I'm starting to get into social media marketing and trying to provide value and content, and create that valuable service that people can stand behind, really.
Yeah, I want to get into the social media marketing. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we will be right back.
Hey everyone, we wanted to tell you about our latest course, Foundation 52, that will be available on February 15th. This course is built to provide tools and techniques every week of the year and is designed to improve your small business. If you're thinking about starting a business, this is a great resource for you as well. We walk you through sales, customer service, disaster planning, growth strategies, and so much more. Head on over to SB Pace to sign up today.
All right, welcome back. Let's talk about social media marketing. So, how is that going for you? And what platforms are you using, and how comfortable are you feeling with it?
I'm only on Facebook and Instagram right now. I've been told that I need to start a YouTube page, but I figured that I don't want to spread myself too thin. I'm a novice, I started out making static posts, and I've been coached and taught that videos and video content, that's our future, that's where everything's going. So I've started creating videos with myself and just trying to provide some financial, some basic information, provide value where I can. And obviously you're always kind of marketing yourself. So creating a personal brand around it it's all very new to me. It's all pretty uncomfortable, and putting yourself out there and getting outside of your comfort zone. But it's been pretty exciting, pretty enjoyable the more I get into it, at least.
Yeah, the social media marketing piece is so interesting because I think one of my biggest, most consistent comments about social media all year has been, because everybody's kind of home and everybody's spending more and more time on social media, you would think that it would naturally lift your opportunity to sell. But in my opinion, and I'm not an expert like marketing person that can go out and talk about digital marketing and all that stuff, but we do our own and we do it well, but it's not something that that's not my degree, is in digital marketing. But to me, it feels like, rather than everybody being lifted up because there's so much opportunity and people are spending so much time there, what it's drastically done is reduce the visibility of everybody, because everything gets drowned out all the time. And especially when you factor in, I'll just say it, the censorship that happens, along with, you've got people that are constantly talking about politics or constantly talking about COVID, and it makes it a really tough platform to get any traction on. And so you have to have a very deliberate approach to how you're marketing on social media right now, and how you're putting content out there.
Yeah, it's always it's kind of a trial and error at this point, for me at least. But I definitely agree with you that it's things can get drowned out, and it's probably only going to grow from that standpoint. And I think we have a pretty low attention span, right? So even like a couple minutes of a video is probably not going to get watched all the way through. So it's definitely a challenge.
Well, knowing that there's, so much out there and that you're going to get drowned out by, all of the noise. What is your differentiator? Like, what makes you, why should I buy from you? Why should I hire you?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. I really feel like my company and this opportunity is like one of the best opportunities in the world. So we have the backing of a billion-dollar, too big to fail financial institution. So we have that strength backing us up, and then it comes down to the personal level of a startup. It's me or one of my agents working with you one-on-one, and we're coming from a place of financial education. I just wanted to teach you and how money works, really. Make sure that you have a better understanding of your financial plan, what goes on, how everything works. And then I'm sure I have a product that I can help you with in my arsenal. We're really a one-stop shop, whether that be investing, retirement, insurance, and I have an extensive tax background as well on the business and individual income tax side. I've got a lot of experience there as well. So I'm just really coming from a place of trying to add value and help you better your financial situation in any way that I can.
Nice. That's a good value prop, because a lot of times you get, financial advisors that are coming from these really, from bigger companies, and it's almost a formula for them. So to know that you take this more individualized one-on-one approach is really, that's important. And I would say to some people really helps them. How much of your time is spent with your clients on financial education, where you're helping them understand like more about like how to save or where their money goes, or just things around financial education versus the products and services that you have to offer up?
I would even guess it to be maybe like 75-25, because the reality is the education is more important, and then once the understanding is in place, usually things tend to make sense, and there's not too much question behind it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love that. Okay. So now I'm going to kind of dip back to the social media marketing, because we were talking about that a little bit. And then, Corey asked that brilliant question about the differentiator. But when you think now about your differentiator, right, which you clearly spelled out for us, how do you have a method for translating that into how you're, engaging with people on social media?
Well, on social media, I'm really just trying to, at this point, provide financial concepts, information, and that's focused on around the pain points that I find people have, whether that be small details around their retirement and information that they need to be aware of, or investments or debt. I'm just trying to share some information on social media and get my face out there a little bit. It's hard to convey the idea of that solid financial backing in a way that is meaningful in some type of image or video.
Yeah, it really is hard to get that point across to people when you're talking numbers, and you don't want to show somebody an Excel file or charts or graphs or whatever. There's nothing exciting about that for sure. But as we're getting kind of close to the end of the podcast here, if you were to give me, for example, one piece of advice, our listeners, just one piece of advice from a financial perspective, what would it be?
From a financial perspective, the main point is, or the big one is to diversify. Making sure that you are not putting all your eggs in one basket. You're not too heavy in the market. You're not too heavy in securities. That there's a lot of risk involved. And Warren Buffett's number one rule for investing was to make sure you don't lose your money. And his number 2 rule was don't forget about rule number 1. So making sure that you are definitely keeping safety in mind when you're building a plan is huge.
That's great advice from Mr. Buffett. Great advice. And that's good for our listeners. So this was really great. Anything else that you want? Can you tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you, where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm at Creating Money Awareness. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and then my handle on Instagram is Kyle Strauss _CMA. And I'm always trying to add value and put out some good stuff. And I'd love to hear from you, from the listeners.
Great. Thanks, Kyle. And we'll drop all of that off in the show notes. So if you're interested in reaching out, connecting with Kyle, you can find out there. And thank you to all of our listeners as well.
Yeah, if you want to connect with us on social media, we're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and the Twitter. You can also reach us on sbpace.com or bizquickpodcast.com.
And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, like us, and give us a review.
Man, we love feedback. Definitely give us a review. And you can reach out to us about topics that you want to hear about, or if there's a particular industry expert you'd love for us to get on the show, send us an email. Oh, hey, we wrote a book. It happens to be a #1 bestseller. It's available on Amazon, and it comes with a companion workbook.
And that's it for today's podcast. I'm Corey.
And I'm Julie, and I forgot to say the name of our book. It's called Seriously? Now What? A Small Business Guide to Disaster Preparedness.
And that was BizQuik, helping small businesses across America.